Alright, welcome back to B Mother Reviews, everybody. Our first review of 2018. I'm happy to bring you Lex Luthor from Sideshow Collectibles. This is the premium format figure that just was recently released. I want to thank my friend Russ for lending me this for the review. Alright, let's get into it. So Lex Luthor, this statue had a bit of a rocky history to it. It came up for pre-order about 2 years ago. January 2016, I think it was. It was supposed to come out January 2017, and then people started getting their delay emails, which is not out of the ordinary. It happens often, but this was a 9-month delay, which was very significant. And it eventually came out that this statue, the factory where it was being produced, was just not living up to Sideshow standards. So they had to move it to a different factory and essentially start from scratch, which I'm not sure how often that happens. This is the only statue that I can know of that has done that. But so anyways, it's been about a 2-year wait for this guy. Was it worth the wait? Well, let's get into the review and find out. Alright, so Lex Luthor, I think most people know who he is. He's the archenemy of Superman, of course. He's been around a long time. He's a huge, very powerful businessman in the DC universe, and he's kind of like an evil Iron Man. He's got all kinds of resources, and he builds himself this suit of power armor so that he can physically compete with Superman. And I'm really glad that Sideshow decided to show Lex in the power armor, because for me that's always how I'll picture him. When I was a kid, I had the little superpowers figure of Lex Luthor, and he was wearing the green and purple. The ones where you squeeze the legs and they do this, right? So, high action figures at the time. So that's always how I'm going to picture Lex. And I've seen people complain that maybe he looks like Buzz Lightyear, and I guess maybe that just makes me seem old, but I just don't see it. I always think back to that action figure I had as a kid. So this is a really, for me, this is a really good modernized interpretation of that power armor that I remember. So this piece sculpted by Steve Schumacher, and he did a really nice job. I really like all the detailing on the armor. It does look like kind of like an Iron Man suit from the movies. Lots of different plating, ridges all around the armor. I really like the fingers. It's got sort of the bolts or rivets. You can see how his fingers would move around. It's got sort of conduits in here around his legs and back here on his shoulders. You can see sort of the spinal area on the back. It's really a nice looking suit of armor on him. They did a really great job there. The base, it's fairly simple, but I kind of imagine it being at the top of one of his office towers or something like that. So he's standing up high above a crowd, looking up in awe at him. Yeah, it's got the Lex Corp logo with the L and the Lex Corp insignia on the front there. And then they've tied the base in with the armor. They've given it some sort of technological, high-tech elements to it that you can see in the back and on the front. So nice simple base. Nice simple pose they've given him. It is sort of just a very standard museum pose, but the positioning of the arms, the positioning of the head, the way it's sort of tilted back, and the direction of the eyes, he's looking down, it really gives him this sense of arrogance, this sense of superiority, or his own sense of superiority for himself. He looks powerful, he looks arrogant, he looks very confident, is I guess the best way I can put it. And so in other words, he looks exactly the opposite of Jesse Eisenberg in Batman vs. Superman. I mean, this is how I picture Lex to be. I absolutely love the portrait on this guy. I think they really just nailed the smugness, the arrogance, as I keep saying, of Lex. And as I said, the way he's got his head tilted back and his eyes are kind of looking down at the corner, you can tell he's just looking down at somebody like, he's better than them and he could squash them like a bug. And it really his attitude comes through in this piece. So they've done a really, really great job with the sculpt and design. I'm really happy with what Sideshow did here. Yeah, really, really nice sculpt from Sideshow. Alright, so moving on to paint for this statue. It's fairly well done throughout. I mean, the base, fairly simple paint job. Just a matte black finish for the most part. The gold on the L does look very nice, though. It's got a glossy finish to it. So that looks really nice. The suit of armor, the purple areas have a real glossy finish to them, whereas the green has more of a matte, metallic, pearlescent kind of finish. I really like that contrast there. They did a really nice job of it. But they did give it some battle damage or some wearing. They tried to make it look scuffed up around the edges and things, and it does look okay. It's not that the paint job on that area looks bad. It's just, for me, as I mentioned, I kind of picture him atop one of his buildings, kind of looking down at this crowd of people, like showing off almost. And I can't imagine that Lex Luthor would do that in a worn piece of armor. So I kind of wish that they removed the battle damage and gave him this sort of fresh, brand new, gleaming suit of armor that he could show off and kind of show his superiority with. But it does look okay. So, that's my only beef with the paint job. Coming back to the portrait again, this is my favorite part of the whole piece, and they painted it really, really well. Nice skin tones. They've given that sort of that very fine speckled look to it to give it a really more of a lifelike skin tone to it. The eyes look really nice. They're centered and both kind of looking the same direction, so that's good. The lips, there's a little bit of a gloss there, so they look a little bit wet. There's a nice realistic look there. Eyebrows are painted really well. The portrait looks really, really good again with the paint job. And overall, not much to complain about here. I think they did a really nice job producing that paint job. So kudos to Sideshow in the paint department. Alright, moving on to production and build quality. I've kind of disassembled the statue. I'll show you how it goes together. Very simple piece to assemble. You only get 4 pieces with it. This is the regular edition. I'll point that out first. So there's only 4 pieces there. The exclusive does come with a switch out hand holding a block of kryptonite. But I will note, an important note, with this regular edition, his fist, his right hand, is permanently attached to the arm. So you can't switch out that arm or try to customize it in any way. But the exclusive does have the switch out. So basically you got the base. His whole body is all one big piece. There's 2 pegs behind his left foot, and those slide in. Nice easy fit on this one here. The right foot just kind of sits on top of there. There's no physical connection there. You got the head, just fits in there with a magnet. Nice easy fit there. And then you got the chest piece, and there is a light up feature on this. So there's a little button right on the top here. So you just push that button to light it up. And it's all self-contained here, which is really nice. If you look on the back side of that, there's a battery. It's a CR2032 battery, so those are really pretty easy to find in most electronics stores. So you could switch out that battery if it ever dies on you. Nice light up feature. I like how they've contained it to that one little piece. So you can just flip it on, and it fits on with a couple magnets, and it just slots into place right there. So quality on this piece, I was actually really surprised with how heavy this piece is. It's really a solid feeling piece. The base, the figure, both have a nice weighty feel to it. It really has a nice quality feel to it. And as I mentioned, the parts all fit together really nice. It's easy to assemble. All good things. There's really not much more I can say about it. This is a really top-notch quality feeling piece from Sideshow. So if you're thinking about buying this piece, don't let that scare you away. It's a nice production. I have no complaints there. Okay, so time to wrap up this review. The Sideshow Collectibles Lex Luthor premium format figure. Of course, in his signature power suit. I think they've done a really nice job. This is a very fine addition to their slowly expanding DC lineup of premium formats. It's a character that absolutely had to be made, and I think they've done him good justice here. It's a fairly simple piece. You know, the base is nice and small, so it's not going to take up a ton of space. You know, it's a tall statue, but you know, you'll be able to fit this guy nicely onto your display shelves. As I said, fairly simple pose, but you know, subtle elements of his posture that really, you know, bring out the attributes of his character that you think of. He looks strong, he looks confident, and he looks arrogant. The perfect representation of Lex, really. You know, his attitude. I love the portrait. The paint is very well done. It's got that weighty feel to it. It really feels high quality, so I've really got nothing to complain about this piece. It's very well done from Sideshow, so hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. First review of 2018, as I mentioned. Many more to come this year. And thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you guys soon.